got a bigger one. Moving over to Dominican Davidoffs. Just a few things on the series, really. 1991, Cuban Davidoffs are gone and Dominican Davidoffs are in. All of the Davidoff things translate over. The classic series translates over nicely because number 1, number 2, ambassadries, they kept their names there. The meal series translates over nicely. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Both of these are very mild blends. The meal series is a little stronger than the classic series. Both use Dominican tobacco and wrappers. We'll talk about that in a minute. What did change big time was the Chateau series. When it translated over, all of the Vitola names were lost. Of course, the blend was different. Vitola names are different. Even the series itself, it's not called the Chateau series. It's called the Grand Cru series. But calling it the Grand Cru series is an homage to the great and once prominent Chateau series. Because Grand Cru is a wine aficionado term, really, meaning great growth, technically. It's talking about first growth. All of these great Bordeaux wines that come out, they're considered premier Grand Cru, you know, grand first-class growth. And that's basically what Grand Cru means. So it's an homage to those wonderful cigars from the Chateau series. Wonderful cigars, or very famous cigars from the Chateau series. I say wonderful since I haven't smoked any. but that's what that is. Now, for a long time, the Grand Cru series was Davidoff's strongest blend. You know, that was basically everything that came over. And the Grand Cru series is made up of, again, cigars, just numbers. Grand Cru number 1, Grand Cru number 2, Grand Cru number 3, until the Special series came along. What we're smoking here, a Special R. Now, the Special series is basically the same blend as the Grand Cru series, or at least very, 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 very close. Both use 5 different types of tobacco, a blend of 3 different unique filler leaves, and then a binder and wrapper. I'm not saying what because I want to get into something in a second. Just bear with me. So the Special series comes out, and basically these are Grand Cru cigars, but with special shapes. Special R, Special Robusto, Special T, Special Torpedo, Special C, Special Culebra, and so on and so forth. So that's how that works. Now, the Special series was basically Davidoff's first jump into the whole realm of odd-shaped cigars. And odd, you know, different-shaped cigars. Because before that, all of their cigars were basically Parejo shapes. All of a sudden, now you have Culebra, you have a Torpedo, you have a Short Perfecto, you have all sorts of different things. I wonder why they don't call it the Special P, the Special SP. They just call it the Short Perfecto. I don't know. Maybe Perfecto is Special and Perfecto is just too much together. I don't know. But that's in that series as well. So the Special Range series is basically the same thing as the Grand Cru series, but Davidoff's jump into special shapes. As I just said, something often overlooked by retailers who will tell you something like, well, what about this cigar? And they'll tell you the Grand Cru series is stronger, medium-bodied, but stronger. And then if you say, well, what about the Special series? A lot of the times they'll say something like, well, it's a little stronger than the Grand Cru series. It is the Grand Cru series. It's the same blend. It's just special shapes. As per many different books that I've looked into, including my favorite to just look into real quick all the time, which you should all have, Perlman's Pocket Encyclopedia of Cigars, Pocket Encyclopedia of Cigars. Wonderful little book. Now, here's a great place to mention what I've been holding off, which is the wrapper. All Davidoff cigars used to use Connecticut shade wrappers. Used to use. All Dominican tobacco, Connecticut shade wrapper. Many people, for some reason, still apparently think this. Not a problem. Unless you're somebody who's reviewing or selling the cigar, you should know what you're smoking. And by the way, it doesn't look anything like a Connecticut shade wrapper. Connecticut shade, think Diamond Crown. That's what Connecticut shade wrappers look like. Sometimes a little darker, but there's a difference. And there's also a big difference in the way they taste. In 2002, Davidoff transitioned over and went out with the Connecticut Shade wrappers and in with Ecuadorian wrappers. Now, there is a bit of a technicality. I don't know if everybody missed this, but there are a lot of people out there who seem very confused about the matter. And maybe it's because it is a little bit confusing. Technically, it's still Connecticut seed, but it's grown in Ecuador. Now, if you take Connecticut seed and you put it in Ecuador, it's no longer Connecticut shade. Even if you grow it in the shade, it's no longer Connecticut shade. It's no longer Connecticut shade. It's about terminology here. Okay, technicalities. But that's what anybody who's wrong will tell you. But it's kind of important. You know, without these things, how do we know what we're smoking at all? Except for the flavor, what we're buying at all. You know, if you're somebody who had a cigar who loves Connecticut shade wrappers, you smoked a Diamond Crown recently, and you go in there and they sell you Davidoff because you like Connecticut shade, and it's not Connecticut shade anymore. Okay? Once you take a seed out of the region, you can't call it that type of tobacco. You can call it that type of seed, but you can't call it that kind of tobacco. If you take Connecticut seed and put it in Ecuador, shade grown or not, it's no longer Connecticut shade. It's no longer tobacco from Connecticut. You take Cuban seed. Cuban seed is grown all over the fucking place. That doesn't make it Cuban tobacco. Okay? If you grow Cuban seed in Nicaragua, it's Nicaraguan tobacco. If you grow Cuban seed in Ecuador, it's Ecuadorian tobacco. They'll say it's Cuban seed tobacco, but you can't call it Cuban tobacco. It's just not. Okay? Region is first and foremost. Then comes seed, and then comes the way it was grown, whatever. So certain terminology on some of these sites is dead wrong, and some is somewhere in the middle, kind of acceptable. For instance, I'm looking, Famous Smoke, Grand Cru series, finished in a stunning U.S. Connecticut wrapper. Dead wrong. Dead wrong. First of all, you said U.S. Connecticut wrapper. It's not even grown in the fucking U.S. anymore. So even if you said, you know, U.S. Connecticut, it's just not, that's just dead wrong, period. So who else do you have here? You have Thompson Cigar, wrapper Connecticut. Actually, no. No. You know, Connecticut seed, yes, and they could try to wriggle their way out of that one, say, yeah, we meant Connecticut seed, or they could just say, we don't give a fuck what you say. But no, it's not. It's not Connecticut. It's Ecuadorian. Review on Cigar Inspector of the Special R. Wrapper, USA Connecticut shade. Dead wrong. Dead wrong. Not grown in the USA, and you really just can't call it Connecticut shade anymore. It's Connecticut seed. Connecticut shade, true Connecticut shade tobacco is grown in Connecticut. Connecticut seed tobacco grown in Ecuadorian is Ecuadorian. What you could say, technically, is it is an Ecuadorian grown Connecticut seed wrapper. Okay? That would be the proper terminology, but it's just not Connecticut shade anymore. Puff.com, USA Connecticut shade. Wrong. Again, wrong. It's not grown in the USA. There's no point in saying USA. You know, look. I have nothing against any of these sites. I don't. But 12 years after the fact that they've changed from USA Connecticut shade to Ecuadorian grown wrappers, you're still saying USA Connecticut shade. Something's wrong here. If you're selling cigars, you should know what you're selling. If you're reviewing cigars, you should know what you're reviewing. I always say, never assume, because I've learned the hard way. 9 times out of 10, when I assume something, I'm wrong. Dead wrong, or at least half wrong. Don't ever assume, especially when you're in the profession, when you're selling cigars or something. Somebody walks in and says, I had a Diamond Crown. I know it uses Connecticut shade wrapper. I really liked it. Can you show me some other cigars with a Connecticut shade wrapper? Show them Davidoffs. It's not going to be anything like that. You may want to go over to the section where they're selling Ashton Classics, you know, but not fucking Davidoffs. Just not going to be anything like that. And that's really all I had to say on that. You know, all of these sites, I don't know. Look it up. Look it up before. Look it up. It's hard. And these four sites are like the first 4 results on Google when you type in Davidoff cigars for sale or something like that. Davidoff Special R. I forget exactly what I typed. But these are, I didn't even bother going all the way through. Everybody's saying, and everybody's wrong. It's wrong. They are Ecuadorian wrappers. Period. Ecuadorian Connecticut seed wrappers technically, but they are not USA Connecticut shade. It's not the type of tobacco it is, you know. So it would be properly called on a Special R or any other Davidoff that we've mentioned thus far, an Ecuadorian wrapper. And if you don't believe me and you want to argue with me, go ask fucking Davidoff. Well, not Davidoff, but the Davidoff company. Even on their site, I have here a blurb. Special R's, 3 unconventional tobacco filler leaves, hand-selected piloto tobacco binder, and Ecuadorian wrapper. Ecuadorian wrapper. Highlight, pronounced spice, nut, spice, nut flavors in a robusto format. So, that's all I have to say about that. Moving on, in 2008, first and foremost, most noteworthy, the Millennium Series, which debuted in 2001. This series came in as the strongest Davidoff ever created at the time, and is still among, it still might be, except for the new Nicaragua series, I'm not sure. Both seem pretty strong to me. The Millennium is a very strong cigar. The Millennium was the first cigar to use an Ecuadorian wrapper. In 2002, all other Davidoff lines already in existence followed suit and switched their USA Connecticut shade wrappers for Ecuadorian wrappers. Perhaps Davidoff found that they were more flavorful or gave the cigar the flavor they were looking for more so than the Connecticut shade, or is it simply because the market had evolved into one looking for more flavor and more strength from their cigars? Quite possibly that. But when the Millennium came out, it was a big thing. Very expensive cigar, and it's another one of those cigars. Some people, that's all they smoke, I know, and they love them. They swear by them. Other people, you know, and the guys that smoke these, they can smoke anything they want, you know. So, and it is a good cigar. I think Davidoff has a following of so many haters simply because of the prices, you know. If these cigars were $10, $12 like so many other cigars, there wouldn't be so many problems out there. That's what I think. Because they are good cigars. They really are. A lot of them are good cigars. In 2008, the Maduro line made its way into the market, and this was Davidoff's first Maduro-wrapped cigar. Cigar with Maduro wrapper. Seems to me that Davidoff kind of sits back and watches what's going on in the market, sees what's gaining popularity, and then releases their own version of it. In 2001, they saw cigars getting stronger, with Fuente, for instance, and the popularity of Opus X. They released the Millennium Series. In 2008, they see everybody going crazy for Maduro, Padrones, mostly, at the time, and then they released their own Maduro cigar. So, you know, 2010, this is a big one, the Puro de Oro comes out. Now, this is Davidoff's version of the Dominican Puro, which had already been created over a decade back by Fuente. Took them a long, long time. Apparently, it was because, you know, Hendrik Kellner, the master blender, supposedly worked 10 years developing this wrapper. So, it's a special wrapper called the Yamasa wrapper, named for the valley from which it is grown, in which it is grown. And, you know, I've had a few. I like them. Again, I'm not going to say much about each one until I sit here and review it in front of you. I don't want to just make like, I remember this, I remember that. I've smoked so many cigars between these that, you know, it's not fair to recall on them unless I really do a proper review. After the 2010 Puro de Oro release, a few other special lines come out. One, notably, is the Colorado Claro line. These are harder to find. They're based on the special series formats like this, but using Colorado Claro Ecuadorian wrappers. Specially selected Ecuadorian wrappers that have a very reddish brown hue to them. You know, they look beautiful. And I've had a few of the Perfecto, the short Perfectos that they make. They're hard to find. Relatively hard to find. Then there's the Royal series. This is many people don't even know about it. I don't see these in cigar shops very often at all. There's only 2 formats, one of which is a big Salomon. It uses 5 unique ligeros, 5 different types of ligero, so very strong cigar. And then there's the new Nicaraguan line, and that's it. You know, after that, of course, I didn't even mention the 3 Aniversario cigars, several limited edition cigars, and that's just Davidoff. That's just Davidoff. Then you have Zino, which is a totally different thing altogether. Yes, owned by Davidoff, but we're not even going to go there because that's just totally different. You have Zino, Zino Platinum Crown, Zino, all the limited editions of the Platinum Crown cigars. Fucking ridiculous. And those get really pricey. I think, you know, the Platinum Crown, the Zino Platinum Crown cigars are among the most expensive in any American humidor. In the shop I used to work at, the most expensive cigar we sold there was the Zino Platinum Crown Stretch, named for, you know, like a stretch limo, giant double Corona, plus tax, over $60. That's an expensive cigar. So if you think Davidoff is expensive, step into the Zino Platinum Crown line and get ready to have your wallet blown away. That's it. Oh, Zino Z-Class. I mean, there's so many of them, So we just covered Davidoff. And eventually, we'll review something from Zino, which is you know, totally different, and we'll get there. And so, folks, that is that. That's Davidoff. And we'll go and learn more about Davidoff, like I said, when we start reviewing cigars like the Z-Class or the Zino cigars or the Platinum Crown or wherever we decide to go. But for now, that is Davidoff. That's a lot of information to take in. Whether you like them or not, they're a huge cornerstone company in the cigar industry, and they're in no danger of going anywhere. In fact, they're always expanding. In 2008, they acquired Camacho Cigars from the Aroa family. So Camacho's still out there, the name's still out there, the blends are still out there, Honduran cigars, but technically, Camacho belongs to Davidoff. Another little tidbit of information for you. Well, guys, I am nubbing now, and a little tarry at the end here, but it still has flavor. Like the flavor or not, one thing I can say is that it doesn't lose flavor. Very well crafted, very good draw. I had a little problem with the burn here and there, you know, but other than that, I can't complain. The thing I like most about this cigar is the aroma. The aroma is wonderful. It's very enticing. It's very unique. It has a lot of different things going on in there. And I personally like this note throughout the cigar that kind of presents a very mature sense to it. You know, it just tastes a little like age, like, you know, hard to describe. You know, any word I use to describe it will make it sound disgusting. You know, like dank or wow. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even want to. It's a rare note. It's a unique note. Something that I find unique to Davidoff cigars. I recommend you try them. Absolutely. Still worth smoking. The last thing I want to say before I close is, if you're interested in trying Davidoffs, here's where we get into some fun stuff with buying cigars. Davidoff is very expensive. I thought there was a spider on my foot. Davidoff is expensive. A lot of people don't buy them because they're expensive. And people who are out there who like them and are buying them and feel like they're just paying a lot of money, you may want to look into alternative ways of buying your cigars. Buying online is a great way that helps you avoid taxes, period. Why not order your cigars from whoever has them cheapest? You know, I don't want to sound like I keep going back to this place, but here's just another wonderful thing. Davidoff is such a big, famous cigar that a lot of Cuban cigar vendors out there sell Davidoffs. A lot of Cuban cigar vendors also sell Fuentes. Now, you know me, I'm ordering from Finest Cuban Cigars all the time. That's my site, that's who I order from. When it comes to standard production, so somebody said somewhere, I don't know, he looks like a collector, he doesn't do reviews on a lot of standard production cigars. Have you been watching anything at all? The last fucking 30 reviews I did were on standard production cigars. I have a separate series on jars, you know, so maybe they saw that and thought, look, you gotta look at the whole picture before you start making remarks like that. Doesn't look like he does much standard production. You know, these are like the same people who email me and say, hey Joe, I love your videos, I watched all of them, just wondering who you order from. You haven't watched any of my videos if you don't know who I'm ordering from. Anyway, Finest Cuban Cigar sells Davidoffs, and I was very impressed because I actually went and I looked and I said, I wonder how much they're charging. You know, they already have free shipping and it's already no tax. Box of Special R Tubos, $3.05. Box of Special Ts, $3.49. Now, if I look here, let's see. Oh, they have some hard to find ones too. The Masters Edition Clubhouse Turo for only $2.19. Here we go. And here's what I wanted to impress. The Davidoff number 2, sometimes they have a sale. The Davidoff number 2 at $369, but on sale last week for $295. Elsewhere, on the American side, the cheapest I found it for was $394. Okay? The Grand Cru number 1, $377 for a box. Elsewhere, $400. The Millennium Robusto, $25 in a box, $357. This was the one that impressed me. This is an expensive cigar. The Millennium Robusto, $25 to a box, $357 as opposed to $455 on neighboring sites. So I've looked at a few. I haven't looked at them all, but I'd say that you'd be hard-pressed to find them for cheaper than that. And since you don't have to pay any taxes or any shipping, why not buy them from there? Especially if you get your Cuban cigars from there and you want to try some Davidoffs. Like I said, the cigar is unique. It's not for everybody. Some reviews out there bash the shit out of it. Other reviews out there hold it up high to be the best cigar ever. I don't think it's either, but I think it's a great cigar. So if you're going to buy them anywhere, I mean, the cigar I just smoked, Special R Tubo, $305 at Finest for a box. That's like $15 a cigar. You know, plus no shipping, no taxes. That's nothing. And some of them they have really good deals at. Ones that I would look at would be the Master Edition Clubhouse for $219. The Millennium Robusto box of 25 for $357 is crazy. And the Davidoff number 2 is on sale at $295. Come on. Come on. Try them out. Try them out. If you're going to do it, try them from there. So they're a great site. Ships to you in about 10 days average. I get them usually in 7 or 8, you know. Great site. And they take care of their cigars. They take care of their customers. So if I wanted to buy more Davidoffs, this is where I would go, you know. We go to different places for different things, you know. Different people specialize in different things, but sometimes you can find really good cigars on the side. You know. It was, as always, a pleasure. Our final third was nice. It didn't really, you know, I wouldn't call this an extremely complex cigar. Flavor stayed steady and the flavor was very enjoyable. It didn't gain much strength. I would say it was fairly medium-bodied throughout. So balance-wise, I would have liked it to pick up a little more at the end, but I don't think it really did. Flavor-wise, same thing. No major changes. Just some stronger, more nutty flavors at the end than the woody ones at the beginning. Overall, if you like aromatic cigars, I think you should try this. This is a wonderfully aromatic cigar, and that, I think, is the best thing about it. Spice died down, and, you know, a little pickup at the end. Not much different from the second, third, to tell you the truth. So complexity-wise, balance-wise, I wouldn't go crazy, but, you know, let's see how our scores turn out overall. It's been a pleasure. Let's cut to the chase. And there we go, folks. Our Special R Tubo Davidoff, all smoked up. Good cigar. Appearance, 1. Very nice looking cigar. Wonderful shade on the wrapper. Very, very, you know, clean. No blotches, no spots. Very nice roll. I like the bunching in the foot. Felt good. Construction-wise, 1. The draw was great. 1. Burn, 0.75. Had a little issue on the burn here and there. Pre-draw flavor, 0.5. I didn't really care for it that much. It seemed a little bland to me. But the overall flavor, 1.5. very solid, very good, definitely there throughout. Not too many changes, but a good flavor overall. Aroma, I gave it a 1. That was my favorite part about this cigar. Balance, 0.75. It was very well balanced, but I really wish it would have picked up a little more at the end. And complexity, 0.5. Not very complex. I thought it was fairly the same. The second third and third third were pretty much, there was hardly a line between them. There was a good difference between the first third and the second third, so there's that. But then again, I wasn't overly impressed with the first third of the cigar. So overall, 8.0. That's a good score for the Dr. Joe Show. As you know, sometimes we have highs, sometimes we have lows, and this one here seems to be right in the middle, a little above that. And I would definitely smoke this cigar again and again, especially if I could get it for a little less money. That's the way I feel about that. You know, at 11 or 12 bucks instead of 18 to 20 bucks, I'd be smoking these much, much more often. So, folks, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode, this brand history review at the Dr. Joe Show. I'm your host, Joe, and please come back. Keep on watching. Leave some comments. You know how much I appreciate that. It really helps the show move along. But even if you don't, whatever you do, keep on smoking. Say goodnight, Max.